If you're looking to incorporate more art into your daily life, here are 6 sketchbook tips that I used personally which helped me to keep a regular sketchbook, and hopefully these tips will help you too. And please note, I did do this all with a full-time job, so it is completely possible. My name is Noor, I'm a full-time designer and also creator of Design Draw Do, where we talk about all things creative in order to bring back the creative spark that you probably lost along the way in your life because of what society says. That's a really bad intro, I need to work on that. Well, let's just get into the tips. So the first tip is to keep it small and portable. So this is a Moleskine sketchbook that I basically picked up at some point in 2021, and I really like this size. It's an A6 size and it is really handy because you can fit it in your pocket, you can fit it in a small handbag, you can also fit it obviously in a backpack or a larger bag. And I really like the size because it is not super overwhelming either when you're starting out, because the pages are pretty small, so you don't feel like you have to fill a super large area. So that is definitely the first thing that I would say. No need to go and buy like an A4 sketchbook or an A5 sketchbook, especially if you're just starting out, and especially if you're trying to make this into a daily habit. Point number 2 is to use your minutes wisely, and this is a point that I actually stole from Matthew Dix, who is an amazing author who writes about storytelling. So he basically says in his new book, Someday is Today, the trick is to utilize your time effectively, to value every minute of the day equally, regardless of how many other minutes are attached to it. Once you have chosen to value every minute, you can begin to create systems by which those precious minutes can be used. Basically what he's saying is that most of us tend to devalue our time, and I notice this a lot when I'm on my commute. Mostly people will be on social media, obviously I'm guilty of this as well, but if you think about it, the minutes that we have in our day, like when we are commuting, obviously if you're not driving, if you're waiting in line, if you're waiting at a bus stop, anytime you are waiting basically, or anytime you are kind of out and about and you're just kind of lazing around, waiting for food maybe, you can use those minutes to draw something, We tend to think that those minutes are kind of wasted, but if anything, those are the really precious moments when you can actually get a lot of stuff done. Like you might be using 5 minutes, you might be using 10 minutes, maybe even 15 minutes, and you can get a really good drawing into that time, just as long as you are aware of that time and as long as you know that you can and probably should be using it. Point 3. I need to go get point 3 actually. Wait a second. This is point 3. Headphones are a must when you are drawing out and about, because you don't want people disturbing you. The last thing you want when you are drawing is people coming up to you, looking over your shoulder, and potentially even, God forbid, starting a conversation with you. It's not happening, no. This is actually something that Stan Prokopenko mentioned in one of the Draftsman podcasts. I think it was in the plein air painting episode. And he actually mentioned that you should probably carry around headphones just so that people know not to disturb you, or at least they get the impression that they should not disturb you, even if they will come and disturb you, which they will, trust me. Point number 4 is to use limited tools. Now this is something that I really strongly advocate for, especially when you're working with something as small as this, and with the limited time constraints that I mentioned earlier, you don't want to be faffing around with different tools and different pencils and pens and things like that. So I normally carry around this tiny little pencil case, which I actually got from Paper Chase, and I love it. It's such a cute size. It fits in pretty much most bags, and it also limits me from taking too many supplies, even though I've literally filled this thing with so many supplies. But anyways, let me just show you some examples. So we have a ballpoint pen. This is actually, I love ballpoint pens. They're actually a really great tool to use because you will definitely find one lying around in your school, in your office, in your university, wherever you are. And it's such an efficient way of just drawing because you don't have to worry about wasting ink or wasting a really precious pen or whatever, like something like that. So ballpoint pens, they're definitely the one. You can also use, I like using colored pencils as well. Colored pencils are a really great tool to use because they just automatically make the drawing look a lot more interesting. This is a Derwent Inktense pencil, which I've thoroughly used. I love this pencil in poppy red, so that's that. What else do we have here? I normally carry around like a 0.5 pen, so which is a bit of a thicker nib, as well as a really thin pen, so this is a 0.05 pen. That's just, it's nice to get the different line weights in. And I also like to carry around brush pens. Actually, I made a video about brush pens. You can check it out in the cards. I love brush pens. Again, very versatile pens. And we also have a felt tip pen. Again, very versatile, really nice way to quickly add colour to your drawing. And this is just a thick nib pen, Pilot V-Sign pen. Again, another great pen to use if you want to do a drawing in literally 2 minutes. And I also have a HB pencil and a sharpener. This is not HB actually, this is an 8B pencil, please forgive me. I just gave you a pencil case tool. That could have literally been a separate video, oh my god. Anyways. But the point being is to keep your supply simple, even if you literally just go out with a ballpoint pen, which is most of the time what I do. I don't actually take this around with me all the time. Completely fine. Most of the drawings in the sketchbook are either with a pencil or with just a single pen or a ballpoint pen. Point number 5 is to always photograph your work, especially if you have been inspired by something outside, your urban sketching. Always photograph your work in front of the thing that you've just drawn, or at least with the surrounding context or something like that, because even if it's not something that you post on Instagram or on social media, it will be something that you can keep in your mementos as a way to kind of understand the context of the drawing that you drew maybe a while ago. It's just nice to be able to look back at it and see kind of your journey. It's kind of like you're documenting your memories. So it's nice to have evidence of that. And later on as well, if you want to show other people your work, then this is also a really cool way to prove to them that you do live sketching. And point number 6, this is a really simple one, but something that I always forget to do, and I'm really disappointed when I don't do this tip, and that is to date your work. It's really annoying when you look at a piece and you're like, oh, when did I draw this? It's really nice to be able to look at the dates and see that you drew this in January of 2020, and then you can compare it with a drawing that you did in January of 2022, and you can see how much you have improved. So dating your work is actually something which is highly underrated, I think. I'm not sure how many people do it or don't do it, but personally it's something I always forget, so I just thought that would be a nice tip to throw in there. And those are the 6 tips that I have as to how you should keep a regular sketchbook. Maybe I've missed out some points. If I have, you can let me know below. And I will be posting another video as to why you should be keeping a regular sketchbook. So if you want to stay notified about that, you can subscribe. And with that, I will see you next week for another video. And there's probably going to be a video floating around here, which you can check out if you want to keep binging on this channel, which I would highly recommend because I'm a very interesting person. All right, I'll see you next week. Bye.